Can you explain to listeners why books matter other than taxes?
Can I tell it as a story?
Absolutely.
Oh,
All right.
much preferred.
So two contractors start their business partners together and they grow it to $2 million in revenue. Never look at the bucks. As long as they have cash in the bank and they can take discounts and pay their payroll and do what they want to do, they don't care. So they hit about $2 million and the growth stopped. And probably within a couple months, they started having problems of paying payroll, scrounging for it occasionally and not being able to take their discounts and going, wait a minute. What's going on here? We've never had this problem before, right? So they were smart enough to make a phone call to me. And I went in there and did the analysis, and they were losing a nickel for every dollar they took in the door for 12 years. Never appeared until they stopped growing, because the money that came in the door finishing one project started the next. And as long as the number of projects were finishing and continuing to grow, you never saw the loss in cash. And as soon as it stopped and leveled out, you started seeing the cash declining and scrounging to pay payroll and stuff like that. And so we, and they're going to say, well, how can you lose a nickel for every job you take in the, dollar you take in the door? Well, they didn't pay attention to inventory. They didn't pay attention to productivity on the jobs. Their guys were getting paid for 40 hours and probably working 20. But they didn't care because they had cash coming in the door. And that's all they've ever looked at. Yeah. So that's the story. One of many.
Yeah.
But, most of the time, I shouldn't say most of the time. Some of the time, my clients they don't know anything until they get in trouble. Either the client doesn't pay them and they get in financial trouble, or bookkeeper they find is embezzling from them. That one's not fun. I promise you that one's not fun.
Yeah. Got a chapter on that particular subject. And it happens for listeners.
On that subject.
It can't happen to me, right? Well, I don't know that the majority, but probably the majority have been embezzled from. And sometimes it's as small as just using the company credit card to fill up their truck. But a lot of times it winds up in tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they don't realize it until after a couple of years, just saying, we just got all that money in and we don't have that much in the bank. What's weird?
What's wrong? Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on here? And I haven't. So that's one of the great benefits is to be able to spot fraud in your business. And it's very likely that if you have 2 or more employees, there's something going on. There are a lot of great people in the world, but that's just what I find when we start looking.
Yeah. One of my former clients who has now sold his business, I knew his numbers really, really well. We knew his margins, we knew his costs, we knew everything every month. And for, 1 month, the gross margin went down a little bit, costs went up a little bit with respect to materials. And 1 month, who cares? Not who cares, but you just kind of watch it because stuff happens at the end of the month or something like that and things like that. So I said, let's see what happens next month. Sure enough, next month, material costs a little higher, margins are a little lower, and something's going on because we know the numbers. We absolutely know the numbers. And so I said, let's take a look at it. And so by the 3rd month, I knew somebody was stealing from him. And he said, nobody can be stealing from me. I have cameras watching. All right. 4th month, same thing. And then I get an email. You were right. The only place they didn't have cameras in the warehouse literally were by the back door. So what they would do is they'd take line sets, put them by the back door, come back in at night, take them out. They had cut a hole in the chain link fence and put it back. $250,000 in copper on.
Whoa. Wow. $250,000.
Now, so, it wasn't the bookkeeper. They're in jail now.
Right.
Which they need to be. Well, they're probably out of jail now, but they were.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of copper.
Yeah. A lot of copper.